Hey everybody, it is Romania Black, and we're on episode 8 of Seraph of the End, First Extermination. So, a squad's all assembled. We got everybody. We got Mitsuba, we got Shinoa, we got Yu, we got Yoichi, and we got Kimizuki, and they are all going down into this creepy subway that is supposedly infested with vampires. Sure. I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to go underground where you could easily be trapped down there by these vampires, but they got weapons. They've got these cursed contracts with these demons, which sounds sketchy as all get out, but they'll be fine, right? They just got to reunite with Gurren after it's all over in the convenient location that Mikaela is going to. I've been told it's supposed to be pronounced Mikaela and not Michaela, so I'm going to try to say Mikaela. Pronunciation is my worst thing with anime, so I'm going to try to be good with it. Mikaela or Mika. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited to see what goes down for our squad. They're our team of 5, our Fab 5 of demon army members. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what's going to happen. So it's been a little while since I've watched episode 6. I'd got 6 and 7. I'd gotten a little bit ahead, so I'd watched ahead. And now I'm like, okay, I'm going to back off for a little bit, and now I'm ready to start back up again. I've been told that after, I'm going to just keep this Seraph of the End on YouTube and Patreon, but I've been told that technically season 1 or the first cour ends at episode 12, and I've noticed 2 things, and so I'm going to kind of put this out here because I figure on Patreon and in the YouTube comments y'all will comment about it. But one, I saw on Funimation that there is an episode 12.5. It looks like a recap episode, so I don't know if I should watch it or not. If it's just a recap, the 12.5 on Funimation, let me know. If it's just recapping the season, I don't want to watch it, or I'm going to not react to it and just watch it off screen and do that before going on to episode 13. But if it has new stuff in it that I need to watch for a reaction, let me know. That's the first thing. The second thing is it's been brought to my attention that after the first cour, after season 1, there were some OVAs. So I was told that there were 9 episodes that were like 2 minutes each that were happening. And then after season 2 is over, there's 4 episodes that are like 4 minutes each. So my goal is that after season 1 or the first cour is over, after episode 12, I want to find those 9 episodes of the 2-minute OVAs, and I want to watch them all together and do a reaction on that. That's my thoughts, is to do that. That sounds like something that I would want to do. So that's my plan anyway. I've been told they're hard to find, but I've been to sketchy sites before to watch things, so I'm sure if you know where those OVAs are, if you have a link to them, feel free to message me on Twitter or send me a message in Patreon or whatever and just let me know. But I do want to watch them because I feel like I've heard they're cute, and I feel like they're something that needs to be watched before season 2 starts, so we'll see. But yeah, but that's my plan anyway. So let's not waste any more time though. Let's dive right into episode 8 because I'm excited. I've had some withdrawals from Seraph of the End and I want to get back into it. So with that being said, we're going to start episode 8 of Seraph of the End here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. So this episode, like I said in the reaction, I was really surprised because we got through the underground part pretty easily. Like underground, like halfway through the episode, we're already done. And they're headed towards Shinjuku. And I was like, what are we going to do for the rest of this episode? But I actually really liked the levity. The car thing was great. I like these little bonding moments with the group. Like I want more of those. And that was really nice. And then we got to these 3 vampires, which as soon as the one vampire, Crowley, shows up, I'm like, wow, you have a interesting hair and design. You're probably not a red shirt. And then the other, the busty blonde, and then the girl that looks kind of nerdy. I'm like, you vampires look like you're probably not just fodder. You have an intricate design. But yeah, oh man, we're just getting closer to him reuniting with Mika. Okay. And I feel like the OP changed a little bit too, which was fun. But yeah, so we went to the spooky basement, and so they were going to raid it while they were sleeping. And of course, the kid that they rescued, the kid was just trying to protect themselves, so they lied to him and told him that there were 7 vampires when there was really like 15 down there. But for there being 15 vampires, they were defeated rather easily compared to the 3. But again, the 3 are nobles. They're higher ranked vampires. They're stronger. These vampires that are down watching all these people are just kind of like low level. Like they didn't even have interesting weapons. I do like that we get a lot of callbacks. So we have you looking at the people underground saying like, oh, they have livestock clothes on, like they're just being used to have their blood drank. And so I like that we get a lot of connection with you in this, and him like wanting to protect them. I do not ship Mitsuba and Yu. I don't really ship them together. I think they'll be great friends and BFFs, kind of like Shinoa and Yu. I definitely ship Yu and Mika, of course, but I don't really ship Yu and Mitsuba. Mitsuba, it's almost like a ship that they're trying to like push on us, and I'm like, nah, they're kind of just friends. And Mitsuba, I think Mitsuba and Yu have a lot in common, and she's realizing kind of how Yu is, but I don't ship them. I just don't see it, right? But yeah, I love the old abandoned look of this, and we keep getting the sunlight shining on. They did it a couple times, showing us that shot of the sunlight shining on the ruins. I'm a big fan of like abandoned theme park photos, like people that go photograph like different theme parks and stuff that have been abandoned over time, like in Spirited Away. That's a big like set piece. I think it's cool to see like nature reclaiming like what was once, man-made. It's interesting. But yeah, they just came in. You just came in and like killed 2 vampires right off the bat. You like just jumping in and taking it on. And of course, Funimation lagged like right as he pounced, but I'm rewatching it now. But yeah, you just took him out just with his sword and everything. Crazy. And Mitsuba, she reprimands him. She's like, quit rushing into battle. You're going to get yourself killed. And Shinoa kind of tells him that, which again, like Shinoa did say, the fact that you originally questioned whether or not they should retreat, I'm like, that shows a little bit of growth, because before you would be like, retreat? No, let's kill the vampires. But even he is starting to recognize, that there are vampires that are going to be a bigger threat than what he knows his own strength being able to deal with. And the fact that Crowley instantly was like right behind him and was like, okay, bye. It's like, oh no, this vampire is really fast. Like, it's probably a good thing that you didn't fight him. Also, I'm wondering why Farad called him to the front lines, unless like Gurren and them are like confronting them and he needs them there. So yeah, Farad's there, Mika's there, the gang's all there at Shinjuku. I'm guessing next episode's gonna be pretty crazy because they're probably gonna meet up with them. I'm not ready for it. Mm-mm. Yeah, and Yu tells Mitsuba down in the station, he's like, I didn't act on my own. The enemy was unarmed and I need to take him out. I waited for the command to draw. He's like, I waited for you to say. And then he says, you need to quit complaining on the battlefield. And then when he draws her in, it's like a fake out because you think he's like going to draw her in to hug her. And he's like, no, get out of the way so I can kill this other vampire. Mm-hmm. And chop through him. So like, yeah, Yu's resolve is great. But Yu also is he's concerned about his friends. He wants to keep them safe. And he wants to get rid of the vampires. So I'm like, is that going to change when you realize Mika's one of them? Yep. And so then here's the thing too. We learn how the vampires fight with the weapons. They inflict self-harm and their blood is used to power it. That's why it's red, right? And we see that with Mika in the OP. Like, it shows the vines and the thorns, and he gets to use a sword because it like inflicts harm on him. It causes his hand to bleed. That's interesting, right? So that's almost less it's less than a contract, or maybe it is a contract. Interesting. I'm very curious about the vampire mythology in this world and how it connects or disconnects from the demons and the demon contracts. That's interesting, right? And so I love that Yu and Kimizuki's like, I'm the strongest one here. I just didn't go all out. And Yoichi's like, let's calm down. There's several times in this episode that Yoichi does the nervous laugh. It's perfect, and I kind of love it. But yes, so they get cornered by the other vampires, by like 8 of them, but they all work together, and we see it. It's off. That's the one thing about this episode. They did it off screen, and I guess after you see you like chop up the first 2, it's like you knew what was going to go down. But it's curious that they had that. They built up this whole underground, siege of the vampire den, and then we don't get to see it. So that's interesting. But I like that Shinoa says to Mitsuba that these 3, Kimizuki, Yu, and Yoichi, are some of Lieutenant Colonel Gurren's favorites, but they're not very good at working together. They don't have a lot of teamwork skills. And Shinoa's like, that's why he put them in your squad, Mitsuba, because he knows that you know the value of teamwork and what happens when we don't have teamwork. And so you're going to work with them to help them, connect and forge that and cultivate that. And Mitsuba's like, I guess. I guess, right? So yeah, that scene was all good. They rescued the kids. It was great. And then I like that you rescues Mitsuba, and he has like the cut on his face. It's wonderful. They did teamwork, Nakama powers. And then I like that he forgave the little girl. Like the little girl was like, I'm so sorry. I was trying to protect my family. And he's like, no, I get it. I get why you did that. It's okay. It's fine. And that's when Shinoa tells Mitsuba about Yu's backstory, about him running away and his family dying. And Mitsuba tries to bring it up, but it's still a touchy subject with Yu, which it's really going to be a touchy subject next episode, I'm sure. But yeah, it's still a touchy subject. But I liked this scene with the little girl right before Mitsuba came up to him, because it shows that Yu, even though Yu can be like a baka, that he's still very caring and very kind-hearted, and his family and friends he cares about, and he is able to empathize with them, and he wants to protect them. And it shows that Yu is a compassionate character, even if on the outside he doesn't always, project that. And then I love Shinoa. She's like narrating the story of Mitsuba. She's like, rescued from a tight spot. She watches him passionately, destined the two fall. It's like, Shinoa, no. I like that Shinoa ships them together. I do not. And Mitsuba's like, not in love, you idiot. Mm-hmm. Also, I feel kind of bad that all they have to eat are field rations of baked beans. Ugh, cold baked beans at that. Cold baked beans. Cold baked beans from a can sounds disgusting. I guess if you had no other option, then it would work. But yeah, so she tells the story. And I like that Mitsuba, she goes up to him and she's like, so was it true what Shinoa said? That you left your family behind? And he gets you can tell he gets a little frustrated, because that's like his trigger point, like the whole, you left them behind. He's like, it's none of your business. And she's like, no. She's like, that's not what I mean. She's like, I'm not here to poke fun at you. And she's like, I probably have no right to say this, but she's like, thank you for rescuing me. I didn't think you did anything wrong by doing what you did. And she's like, and Yu's like, well, that may be. You may think I did nothing wrong, but I left my family behind to save my own skin. And man, every time we go back to that first episode, the animation on that is so good. And it's like, that's his resolve. And that's why he says, I'm never going to let anybody, he doesn't finish the sentence. He's like, I'm never going to let anyone else die. And I'm like, I'm so curious how seeing Mika is going to complicate this, because that's like his trigger point. That's like his resolve, what keeps him going. I'm so curious. I don't want to be spoiled, obviously, but then he says, forget it. And then that's when she tells him, thank you. So yeah. So anyway, and then we see this dark-haired girl watching them from above with like the eagle eyes. Like, who is she? I don't think we've seen her before. She's got like the dark hair and everything, and the hair pulled up. Interesting. We don't know her. Shinoa said her sister died. That can't be her, right? No, I don't know who she is. I'm sure we'll find out, so don't spoil me, but that's interesting. And so then, yeah, the carjacking scene. I love it. I love that Kimizuki is able to like hotwire a car in this giant Hummer. And I love that Yu's like, oh, I've only ridden these a couple of times. Can I drive it? And Kimizuki's like, no, I'm going to get us to Shinjuku. Leave this alone. And what does he do? He drives it. That little imp. No, I love it. I love that Kimizuki's like, I'm going to kill him. And he nearly got ran over. Like when he backed up, the animation was so fluid. And he was like, whoop, and then he had to jump out of the way. I thought he was about to get hit. Oh my God. But I love this scene because anytime we have like downtime with these characters and it shows like some kind of levity and them getting to know each other. And I love how unabashedly joyful Yu is. He's like, that's so awesome. You're so cool. You can drive a car. And Kimizuki's like, well, I mean, it's nothing. I just love Kimizuki and Yu bonding. They were bonding until Yu nearly ran him over and then no more. But it's so good. I love these moments with these characters. It's absolutely wonderful, and it makes me want to watch more with them. I love it. And I love that they're sitting out here at this patio of this abandoned restaurant eating these beans out of a can. And the animation, it's just, they're just going along, and then you see the car just go up and hit the pole. Oh my god, it's amazing. And I love that Mitsuba's like, stealing a car is a crime. And then he's like, let's just leave. And then you just see the car hit it. Oh god, that's probably the best part of the episode is him like with the car. And he's like, oh crud, what'd I do wrong? And I love the show is like, I'll drive, and she's too short. And they make fun of her for being so short. And then she's like, okay, no, we're done. And I love it. I love that they have all the scrapes and bruises from where she beat them up. And they're like, let's not make fun of Shinoa's height anymore. And they're like, no need to tell us twice. So good. It's so good. I love it. I love all these bonding moments with them. It's such a cute little levity moment before I'm sure all hell is about to break loose. Mm-hmm. And poor Yoichi is like stuck in between Shinoa and Mitsuba in the back seat. It's great. Great, great, great. So then, yeah, they, of course, now Shinjuku, because here's the thing, Guren's like, I'll meet you guys there, and that's where the vampires were headed. So by the time they got there, the battle's already broken out between Guren and the vampires. So, of course, these nobles were sent to see what the car coming was about. And then, yeah, he just lifts up the car and throws it at them like it's nothing. So, yeah, there's clearly a distinction in the different vampires and the levels of power that they're on. And then he asks the sword to drink his blood. But that's curious because I've noticed this Guren's sword is red too. So it's not green like the rest of their weapons. So I'm like, why is that? And I'm sure we're going to find out. It's just, I'm like, Guren's not a vampire, right? I don't think so. But here's the thing. These vampires can be out in broad daylight. But Guren doesn't have the teeth or anything. So what the heck? I'm curious. Maybe Guren and his demon contract is different? I don't know how that works. I'm assuming we're going to find out. But yeah, you saving Shinoa. I love that moment. I love it. And I was waiting for you to say who he was when Crowley asked, who are you? You know that Crowley is going to go talk to Farid and be like, hey, this kid's here and he nearly bested me and he's got like black hair and a sword. And Farid's going to be like, is it him? Like, I'm just waiting for it, right? And then, yeah, they were going to tag team him, and then the other two vampires show up, and then Shinoa's like, well, crap, that's not going to work. It's not going to work anymore. This just took a turn for the worst. And then, yeah, Yu says, do we retreat? And Shinoa's like, we could, but we won't be able to with them, all three of them there. And yeah, Shinoa's like, so then Shinoa's like, well, we can't escape, so we're just going to fight at full power at the borderline of the demon taking over. That's so dangerous. I'm like, these guys, three of these guys just got their weapons and you already want them to like battle it out and possibly lose control. Yikes. Right? It's kind of crazy. So, but she's like, yep, that's what we're going to do. Oh, buddy. And luckily they don't have to go that far. And she's like, even if we do that, there's probably still going to be casualties against these three like top tier vampires. But luckily that's not what ends up happening because the other vampires are like, hey, you've been wanted on the front lines. The upper class vampires shouldn't be out here fighting the riffraff. You're needed on the front lines. He's like, oh, well, Farid wants me, then I must go. I'm like, is Crowley and Farid a thing? Is that a thing in this series? Interesting. I do like Crowley's design. Farid's is pretty iconic, but I do like Crowley's design. It's a very odd one at that. And then, yeah, she got his sword back for him. And I like the blonde one's design. But yeah, he just taps him on the shoulder, leave like, hey, I'm actually really fast, so you're lucky that I have to be called to the front lines. Bye. Yeah, and Yu's just like, shit. I couldn't keep up with that. And he's like, this is the power difference. So I'm glad that Yu's getting a taste for just how big the power difference is. And Shinoa was terrified. Shinoa thought that they were going to die. Like, she just looks freaked out. She's like, oh, good, we're saved. Oh. So then she goes on and says that they can learn curses. Like, this all seems so sketch. I'm like, where are you learning curses from? Demon cursed objects. You guys have sold your souls to these demons to get power. This seems like it has a setback somewhere. I'm like, It gets more and more interesting. More and more interesting indeed. But yeah. So, And Shinoa says, she's like, what good is it if you alone can fight a vampire on equal grounds? Shinoa's like, you may be able to defend yourself, but while you're defending yourself, we're getting killed. So teamwork is essential. And she's like, this was your lesson. We just were lucky that it was a lesson and not someone died. So, But she's like, by the way, thanks for saving my life. All about it. So yeah, so then they're going to be off to go and see what's happening with Gurren and all of them. Holy cow. But yeah, you know, like you do. So I'm very, very excited to see. The question is Mikaela and Yu gonna run into each other next episode, or are they gonna make us wait till episode 10? I'm like, we're nearly at the end of season 1, and they've not even met each other yet in the present timeline. It's like, this very much feels like Yona of the Dawn, like it's slow burn setup, but then once it gets going, I feel like then it's gonna get going. So I'm excited once we get to that point. But yeah, I can see why y'all want me to read the manga now. I can see why you'd want me to do that. So, But yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm very excited for the next episode, actually, because the vampires are at Shinjuku. So is our main characters. Gurren's there too. It looks like it's going to get wild. I'm ready. So we shall see. But I'm curious to know your thoughts down below, what you guys thought of this episode. No spoilers, please. But I'm very curious to see what we're going to do with this next episode. So in the meantime, I hope y'all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe. Take care. And yeah, I'll be back next week and we'll see what happens in Shinjuku with our crew here on Seraph of the End. Bye.